Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. Well, today I thought we'd talk a little bit about our sewing baskets and whether or not you have one. Well, I have an array of products. I have a sewing machine, and I like to use my sewing machine for lots of different things when I'm making garments or making using it to put hems and things and other projects that I find that are fun. But sometimes I have repair work and mending work to do that doesn't require the sewing machine. If it's just a small tear, or my little apron that I've got on here needs to have the pocket, the corner of the pocket is come unstitched, and it needs just a little bit of simple tacking back together, and the one of the little strings on the side that helps helps me to be able to buckle the sides of my apron together. It's come off, so I have some hand work to do. I've got to need to put a just a small, tiny little couple stitches here in Blade's vest. And he'll be wanting this, so I've got to get this fixed before he comes home asking, because this has been in the mending basket for a while because he hadn't needed it, and so it gets pushed to the back and other projects get done first. But this is something that he's going to be asking for before long, going back and forth up to the hospital, and this on the mornings are chilly, evenings are chilly, and he's going to be wanting that. So I got to thinking about my sewing basket and the items that I have, and did I have enough stuff. And it was just a quick reminder to all of you guys too, that you need to have some sewing items on hand. Now, you may not be a seamstress or a tailor, and you may not even have a sewing machine, but there are some things that you need to have on hand that'll save you some money. You know, we are a society that if something gets a tear, a button gets torn off, the zipper breaks, we just throw it away and get something new. But you guys know the way money and finances are going now, and prices are going up on things, and things are actually being hard to being able to find something to purchase is beginning to be a challenge in some areas. So if you have these items on hand, you can fix some of the little issues that you have, and you'll save some money in the long run. When you think about having a sewing basket and having supplies on hand for your mending, something that you need to really consider is having good scissors. Now, I'm very particular with my scissors, and the kids know that I have certain scissors that I don't want anything cut with those scissors except for fabric. And that is what these are. These are my fabric scissors. I have another pair that's even better than these, heavier duty than these, but I try to keep these hidden as much as possible so that they don't get used on paper and other items. This little pair of scissors is just a cheap little pair of scissors, and I have this in my sewing basket, and it's good to clip threads and to cut little items that I don't want to use my good shears on. And so you'll need several different kinds of scissors, several different pairs. I have a bunch of scissors. This is just a couple to give you an idea. A good pair of pinking shears will pink the edges of stuff that you're cutting out and help it to pardon me, so that it won't fray. You don't want to use your kitchen shears for sewing, and you don't want to use your sewing shears in the kitchen. You don't want to cut paper with them. Just be really stingy with your sewing shears, and that's what they're for only. The next thing that you're going to need is you're going to need some ways of measuring. Now, this is a cloth tape, measuring tape. And this is designed so it can go around you and take measurements, and so that when you're making your clothing and you need to cut your fabrics, you'll know just what size you need. This comes in handy too when you need to measure other things, and so you need to have a good measuring tape. And I have one of these kind of tapes too. Now, it's pink. Howie and Blade wouldn't carry this around for anything. Now Blade likes pink, but Howie would not have carried this around. And so this is one way of assuring myself that I got to keep my my little measuring tape because they wouldn't touch it. And so this same thing with this, it's a good way to measure items. Now I have yardsticks and I have rulers, and also you can have cutting mats that you can lay down that has measurements on them, and you can get those out for your big projects. But I'm just really talking right now about something that is for hand sewing, something that's just going to be really simple for you to take care of. The next thing that you're going to need, and I have a lot of them on hand, are hand needles. Now, when you go to the store, wherever it is that you choose to buy your needles, you'll see them in packages like this. Sometimes they come in a paper package, and I thought I had one out here, but I don't see it. And they'll have different sizes of needles for you, and a lot of times they'll tell you what that's for. I have embroidery needles. I have you know, needles that have a big eye, and the needle is thicker for heavier fabrics, and I have some that are teeny tiny. And so you need a good supply of hand needles. Now this one is in a leather pouch. This is from, well, this is with my Singer supplies, my Singer sewing machine supplies, but this is not, these are hand needles, they're not machine needles. And you see that these are much bigger, and they have specific shapes for different sizes. These are all things that you can use for hand sewing of different projects. You want to make sure that you keep these items on hand. The next thing I keep a jar, and you don't have to do this, but I pen my little safety pins. I try to keep them in different sizes, just so when I'm searching for something I can find the right size and they don't seem to tangle up. But you need to keep a good supply of safety pins. Now they can help you when you are stitching, hand stitching, to help hold projects. You can use them for a variety of things in your kitchen, all around your home, and I just simply keep mine stored in a little glass jar, and they're handy for you. Now, once before we had a whole little Tuesday night lesson on the button jar, so of course I got out some of my buttons, because you need to keep buttons on hand, because you inevitably are going to lose a button off of a shirt or off of a coat, and you need to be able to put those buttons back on your items. Now there are shank buttons like this one. That's how you sew it back onto your garment, right there. There are 4-hole buttons and 2-hole buttons. And those will all guarantee that you can reuse your clothing. Now sometimes you might come across something at a yard sale that's been in the yard sale simply because the button is missing. And if you have some buttons on hand, well, you can put that item to good use. I know this is something that takes some of us getting used to, because we're so quick to just throw things away. But I bet you can look at the way that things are going right now in the world and know that we need to use things up, make do with them. I tried to find my patching material. And when you have a hole in the elbow of a shirt, or in the knees of a pair of jeans, or anywhere, and you need to put a patch on it to save it, well, there's several different patches. There are iron-on patches that simply just are exactly what they say. You just put it on, add it to your items, say a pair of jeans, and you iron that patch on there, and it sticks to those jeans and it seals that hole right up. There's other ones that are not iron on, they're sew on, and you have to sew them on. And if you're creative enough, you can do some really cute stitch work with children's clothes that you've patched the holes in. I've seen them where the little patch looks like a little monster or a flower or a little creature, and it just gives a little bit of extra love to the item. Of course, when you're hand stitching, you need all kinds of different threads, different colors. You want to try your best to match your thread to your fabric. You don't want to put something that the thread is going to show, and so you try to match it as close as you can to your fabric, within reason. You're not going to be able to have every single thread in the country. Now, some people might, but others aren't going to. But if you have your basic threads, also there are different thicknesses, different strengths of threads. Some you'll come across that'll just be an all-purpose thread, and you can use it for all kinds of variety of products. Others, you'll see quilting thread. You'll see threads that are specialty threads, and you want to make sure that you try to use the best thread that's going to match what you are trying to sew. Now, this is not an exhaustive list by any means, so make sure that you have some good manuals. Now, I know that some of you probably have really good suggestions on books that people can get that is really going to teach them some good homesteading skills on mending clothing and other items around your household, so that you're not having to spend a lot of money to either have somebody tailor that for you, or throwing it out and throwing it in the garbage and having to go buy new. Right now, every little penny that we can save is important. So if we can figure out how to mend those little holes, how to sew those buttons back on, how to reset those zippers, do all of those little things, we can make our money stretch. We can continue to look well to the ways of our household. When you learn these skills and you begin to build on them and you move in other directions, why, you can make all kinds of things for your home. Curtains, you can make stuffed animals for the children. There's all kinds of things. You can even make slip covers for your furniture. And so it's important for us to learn our home economic skills. I hope this helped a little bit, guys, sharing with you some things that you need to put in your sewing basket, your hand sewing basket, and mending those items, making use of them, and either keeping them or passing them on to somebody else that can use them after you repair them, so that we can keep a little bit more money in our pocket and be a little bit more resourceful. Well, I know this was a quick one, guys, and I hope it helps save a little bit of money and look well to the ways of our household. Till next time, this is Josie. I love you guys. I really do. We're gone.